Do you know why Homer's head exploded? It all started when Homer was at work, and the alarm went off. Ninja terrorists had invaded. Homer transformed into a superhero, crawling through the vents to the boss's office. He used karate to defeat all the ninjas. But of course, this was just a vivid daydream.
Homer, you should see a doctor. I don't think a healthy man can make that kind of smell.
Then the secretary came in with the paycheck. Homer was ecstatic, because today was the day he could finally completely out of debt. He could quit this terrible job for good. Before leaving the company, he planned to humiliate his exploitative boss, Mr. Burns. Homer approached the perfectly tidy desk and moved Mr. Burns' coaster. Seeing such a neat and tidy office, he decided to add a little trash decoration. Homer mused. Mr. Burns' head, of course, was a bongo head. Homer knocked from office to the door, then he pushed Mr. Burns aside, set fire to the only exit. To show he'd never come back, Homer then went to his favorite place, the bowling alley, owned by his buddy Barney's uncle. Homer asked Barney for a job.
Hey, Uncle Al, can Homer have a job?
Sure.
Woohoo!
Barney, you're fired.
Okay.
Though Maggie hadn't been born yet, the pay was less than what he made before. So Homer made a financial plan.
We use regular toilet paper, not that fancy quilted kind. And only one of you kids can go to college.
Fine.
That evening, Homer and Marge went for a walk by the sea. As they prepared to fight,
I've got sand in my underpants.
Me too. Let's go home.
I didn't realize Homer was so strong. He can lift Marge with one hand and put her on the bed. Homer loved everything about their life. He wished it would stay this way forever. Seconds later, Homer's army was marching in, ready to conquer Marge's castle. One Homer soldier broke through Marge's defenses, aiming straight for the enemy's stronghold. Afterward, Marge was throwing up every morning, but Homer, oblivious, just complained about not thinking things through. He focused on doing his best at work, even if it was just menial tasks. After the machine polished the bowling balls, Homer decided to stick his head in.
Homer, did you polish your head in a shino ballo?
No.
His enthusiasm earned him the admiration of everyone in Springfield. Meanwhile, Marge confirmed she was pregnant, but wasn't ready to tell Homer. So she looks to her children for courage. When Marge finally approached Homer to share the news, he was praying for their life to stay the same, which made her hesitate. She had to seek advice from her sisters. Marge explained, Homer would be devastated if he knew she was pregnant. The sisters, who already don't like Homer, immediately planned to leave. Marge noticed their faces and warned them not to tell Homer.
Oh, we promise we won't tell Homer.
But immediately opened the phone book to call the biggest gossip news in Springfield. Within an hour, the whole town knew. When Homer finished work, the streets were filled with people congratulating him.
Way to get Marge pregnant.
This is getting very abstract, but thank you.
Homer thought it was praise for his work, but when he got home, the women of Springfield were hosting a party in his house, giving him baby clothes. Homer, clueless, was about to go upstairs to shower, but something felt oddly familiar.
Marge is pregnant? No!
Homer's been through this twice before.
You're pregnant? You're pregnant again?
Later that night, Homer's head swelled with the news of Marge's pregnancy.
Homer, you had a head.
Check.
Marge suggested Homer ask for a raise since he was doing so well at work. Homer did, but his boss explained that business was bad, and there was no money for a raise. Homer, eager to turn things around, promised to triple the business at the bowling alley. He read books on advanced marketing, but they were too complicated. Then he tried books on beginning marketing, but those words were too hard too. Maybe a dictionary would help. Even though Homer couldn't read, he had plenty of ideas. He took a gun and shot it in the air outside the bowling alley, thinking the noise would attract customers. Although his strategy didn't bring in any customers, but attracted a lot of cops and firemen, few people stayed and spent money in the end. His boss comforted him, saying he appreciated Homer's efforts and gave him a coat as he was fired. The harsh reality hit. Without a job, Homer had to return to the place he hated most. Then, acid rain destroyed his last drink. He went to the front desk, and when they found out Homer was a former employee, they told him to crawl through the dog door. To Mr. Burns, though Mr. Burns laughed at his wretchedness, but let him go back to his old job. As punishment for leaving, put a sign above Homer's desk.
Don't forget, you're here forever.
Reality struck Homer harder than ever before. But as a man, he couldn't vent his frustration on his family. On the day Marge gave birth, Homer was still grumbling about another mouth to feed. But then, a tiny hand grabbed his finger, as if it were greeting him. The collision of lives is truly beautiful. It made Homer's complaints vanished, and all he felt was love for the little baby. Afterward, Bart asked why there were no pictures of Maggie in the album. Homer just smiles. He just put them where he needed to be cheered up the most. The past work constraints, now transformed into a belief in his life. Homer might seem clueless, but who else could endure years of painful work to pay off a loan, then not give up on his dreams, chasing what he wanted? He may say he doesn't want change, but when his family truly needs him, he can humble himself and go back to that painful place. Living requires some kind of belief, and that belief doesn't have to be lofty. Living for your children, your loved ones, that's enough. Though as a slave to life, but seeing your family comfort you, that will give you the strength to continue on this road called life. It may look like you're living for others, but in the end, you're living for yourself too.